Joining me now is Republican Senator Thom Tillis, a member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator, thank you very much for being here tonight.
Good evening, Barbara.
Your reaction to all of this?
Well, I think that this is a provocation that we expected, or I should say a retaliation that we expected. The fact that they were so quick to claim responsibility for it is concerning to me, but I have to be honest with you. I think that these targets are not new targets for these missiles. They chose to launch them this evening. We've got to take a look at whether or not they successfully hit their targets. We've got to particularly look at the American men and women and our partners who are in harm's way. And I think that the president has to be prepared to respond appropriately.
Obviously, the White House is being briefed, watching all this very closely with leadership at the Pentagon. You know, I look back at the interview that Javad Zarif did, the foreign minister, with CNN earlier today, and he said that President Trump must stop threatening people, that people will be further enraged. He said that the president needed to apologize for the hit that took out Qasem Soleimani. Your thoughts on the verbiage, the language coming from Iran?
I think the leadership of Iran, not the Iranian people, the leadership of Iran need to apologize for a decades-old attempt to harm Americans, kill Americans, hundreds of Americans. Soleimani has created a network of terror across the Middle East. He needed to be taken out. He is responsible for the attacks on the embassy. He was killed less than 15 miles away from the embassy, traveling against UN sanctions. He was not there for a good purpose. He was there to continue the surrogate war, and he got caught. The American people, I think, stand behind the president in that action, and we will get briefed. I'll be in the same briefing tomorrow with some of the Pentagon officials and White House officials to go through the circumstances that led them to believe that this was the appropriate time to do it. But if anybody needs to apologize here, it's the mullahs and the Ayatollah and the leadership of Iran who have continued to press and press and press through maritime attacks, through their proxies and sometimes directly. And sooner or later, you have to draw a line, and I think the president appropriately did that when he took out Soleimani last week.
What is your assessment of what Iran's next move is and the tenuous situation that they find themselves in? Obviously, under the stranglehold of very intense sanctions, unrest in their streets, thousands of people protesting against the leadership in Iran. And what do you think the United States' role should be or should not be with regard to the divide between the people and the leadership in Iran?
Well, I think that Iran only responds to pressure. I mean, the economic pressure is working. Their economy is failing. But if we give them another pass, like we did with the maritime attacks in the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf, the attack on the Saudi airfield, the rocket attacks that killed a U.S. contractor, sooner or later you have to say you've crossed a line and there has to be a consequence for it. The Iranian leadership only respond to proportionate force. They need to understand there's a consequence for this. The only thing that gives me any pause here is the safety and security of the American men and women that are in the theater and who are at risk tonight. And I hope everybody in America will say a prayer for them and their family members back here at home.
We certainly will. Senator Tillis, thank you. Good to speak with you tonight.